We'll change it later. See what happens when we don't come in till noon.
Live. Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. It's funny hearing the volume. It's weird. But you can hear it okay. Yeah, you turn it off. That's good. What's up, everybody? Just going to hit some warm-up shots. Once some people roll in, you guys can start asking questions like normal. If you guys have been here before, you know how this works. Shoot questions over, and we'll fire away. If you haven't been, welcome. And yeah, let's talk some golf. Ask some questions. Feels good. Yeah, I just really, I have a tendency during my backswing to get going kind of up and back and turn flat. So I really have to feel like I add more left side bend and stay more down just to kind of get normal. And on the way through, my old tendencies are early extension and throw. So I really got to feel like I keep that right arm pinned a little more, get my right side turning through and not throw it down the line as much. So I really only can do one at a time. So I really try and focus on the backswing or the downswing. And then, you know, get enough feedback to get a feel where when I go out on the course, I'm ready to roll. So whatever you guys, if you guys have any questions, just fire when ready. Is it working on your phone? Yeah. Cool. Or we'll just hit balls. Poo-poo. A slow Monday. Pookie. So do the hands work down to the ball at impact, or they reach a point and then something? During the downswing, when I get up to the top and I reach a part, my hands will work up and in all the way to the top of the backswing. They work down and out until about they get parallel to the ground or even with my right thigh. From there, they don't continue to work down and out. They start to work up and in, and the club head will work down and out. So it's up and in, down and out towards the ball till about the thigh, and then they start to work up and into the left as the club head releases down, and the hands will work up and in all the way through to the follow through. That's how that works.
People rolling in, quiet people this week.
Yeah, quiet crowd. You guys have any questions? Start firing. Oh, I just hit. I'm out of shape still. Courtney Halsey. I'm hitting all drives.
Blocking them off earth. Help.
Hitting all drives to the right, blocking them off earth. So when you're hitting your driver too far to the right, a couple of variables we have to look at. The three main ones are going to be club path. So during my downswing, obviously the more I take the club head and club, and the more I swing it from inside or to the right in general, the more my path is inside out, the higher the likelihood of a push. We have to look at the club face angle. The more the face is open, the more the ball is going to go to the right. And then we have to look at centerness of contact. So the more you hit towards the toe in particular, in the heel, but more you hit towards the toe, the ball. What I need to know is, and answer this on there, when you're missing it to the right, is a straight push to the right? Is the ball curving to the right? So if there's no curve, then the problem most likely has to do with the path being too far inside out. If there is curve, then it's more of a club face issue. And then we can go from there, because that could be grip, that could be wrist conditions, form, rotation, etc. So let me know if there's curve to the right or it's just a straight push to the right.
Okay. Loving the new content. I think I remember you talking about using the one-piece takeaway concept for the early part of the swing, but then transition out of that thought after a bit. Is that right? I tend to hold on to the triangle too long.
I didn't know I could even see the questions over here on the right. Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Well, I don't know why they weren't there before. Loving new content. I think I remember you talking about using the one-piece takeaway concept for early part of the swing and then transition out of that thought after a bit. I tend to hold angle. Yeah, so the deal with the one-piece takeaway, we did a video on, we'll still do it this way, on kind of the idea of taking the club one piece. The idea would be your one piece to the right thigh. So you're just keeping the triangle from here to here. By the time you go from here to club parallel, there's got to be some hinging and there's got to be some right arm bending. So there should be basically one piece from here to just to here. And then there's going to be a soft fold of the right arm and a little bit of hinging. So the triangle really only applies to the right thigh.
Before you roll back, straight push.
Straight push is then a path issue. So your club path is coming too far from the inside corner. If the ball's going too far to the right and it's just a straight push, you've got a path problem. So that could be the ball position's just too far back in your stance. That could be your aim to the right. Could be something as simple as that. Could be more complicated and be that you're too far inside out. What I would do is go watch our How to Fix Your Hook for Good video. How to fix your hook for good. There's 3 different practice stations in there, and some we did last time of putting an object back here between you and the ball, like a water or a stick or something, and you got to be able to swing over the top of that during your downswing, or put an object in front of you. The moral of the story is going to be you're going to have to feel like your swing's more over the top compared to normal if you have the push to fix the path.
Jillian saying practice versus play. I'm guilty of playing with a swing thought. Should I just let go when I play, even though a feel or position might not be perfect? I love your stuff.
Jillian, thank you. Having a feel. So basically, the question is: when you go play, should you have a feel or just or a thought or not? I personally have never played well when I don't have a swing thought. Some people always say you should just go and not think about anything and go play. That don't work for me. That doesn't work for a lot of people that I work with. I play better when I have a swing thought. Now the deal is this: when you're working on your mechanics, let's say you have 1 or 2 things in your swing that you're working on. As you're practicing, you're working on mechanics in the beginning of your practice. If you watch our perfect practice routine video, you'll see how I would divvy up the 100 balls. At the end of the practice, you should be taking those mechanical thoughts and turning them into 1 or 2 feels that you would play golf with, right? So if I'm working on something mechanical, let's say takeaway, and I'm really trying to make it perfect and give myself feedback in practice, when on the course, I'm just creating a little feel like, okay, club head up and out. I feel the weight of the club head up and out. I'm not thinking as mechanically. Then I come back in, take my normal setup, kind of pre-waggle that feel, and I just feel club head up and out. I'm not as trying to be perfect when I'm on the course, but the idea that you shouldn't have a swing thought is, I think, gets overplayed. It's perfectly okay to have a thought that turns into a feel.
Todd wants to know, how do I avoid picking up the club and getting steep with my shorter clubs, especially the wedges?
How do you avoid picking up your club and getting steep with the shorter club, especially the wedges? I would do this. I would do our shallow your downswing, most famous common station we use with the noodle. In any of the videos we do in terms of shallow your downswing or how to hit a draw, if you're too steep, I would do this. I'd line this up where the noodle was in your way here, and you had to swing from the inside of it during your backswing and downswing, and learn how to shallow the club that way. That'd be the first way I would start.
So get ready to talk about the Facebook group.
Okay.
After the announcement you finish, I get pulled forward onto my toes and lose balance. What's going on? Do you think? From Matt.
So Matt, is that Matt McGuire?
No, it's Matt Logo.
Matt, after my downswing finish, I get pulled forward onto my toes and lose balance. What's going on, do you think? So this is one of those ones, Mary said, get ready to talk about the Facebook group. This is one of those ones where, as always, when this gets more specific, I would need to see your swing to like give specific, here's why you do this type of stuff. Information. So at cogornogolf.com, we're still doing this right now. It's a 7-day free trial. If you want to join that, you can hop in for free and you can post your swings in there and I give you feedback. But what I would say is if you're going more towards your toes, without me being able to see and tell you why that's happening, I would start by simply feeling the opposite. If you normally during your downswing have a problem with finishing too far forward up in your toes, Then from the top, I would start to feel like you're going way back towards your heels, and you'll probably end up somewhere in between. During your toes too much in your downswing is a problem. I would fix that. It inhibits rotation, usually makes club face contact and face control more difficult. So I would fix that.
Fabio wants to know if you have a suggestion for a good soft ball to help straighten out his side spin, particularly with the driver.
Fabio, no, I would say that's less of a ball problem and more of a you problem. And I would look at the mechanics and fix whatever. So if you have too much side spin, whether it be to the right or to the left, you have a club face to path ratio problem, not necessarily a golf ball problem. So there's no ball that I think is going to drastically help that. And that's my opinion on it. I've never seen a ball make a big difference with that. So I would say figure out why your club face is too open or closed and fix that. It's probably grip, forearm rotation, or wrist condition related.
RS is saying, I'm having trouble controlling my club face. I have strong grip and the ball still fades right. When I really try and turn my wrist, I get hooded, low line draw.
If the ball still fades to the right and your grip is strong and your face is good, that means you have a swing direction problem. And when you try and close it, it goes low and left. That's because your downswing is too far outside in. So your downswing pattern, if your face is good and your club face is strong and you're still hitting a fade from here, your downswing is too steep and across it. What I would do to fix that is do that noodle station I just threw in there, or watch, just search my name and then how to shallow your downswing, how to hit a draw. Any of those 10 to 4 stations, any of those 6 stations will fix that. You may or may not have to change the club face pattern. I'd have to see to say for sure, but I would fix it with one of those practice stations.
Between your irons and wedges, do you have different weighted shafts?
Between your irons and wedges, do you have different weighted shafts? Mine are the same. Some people get wedge shafts that are heavier than the iron ones. I'm not a big like club guy, so I'm probably not the best person to ask that. But some people also change the stiffness of the shafts when you go into wedges and into the irons. I just like to keep mine kind of stock across the board. I keep the weighting the same. I keep the stiffness of the shaft the same. I don't step them any different or anything like that. But I've seen guys do different stuff. I could potentially change that and be better. I've just always played the same stuff, so that's all that I do.
Terry's asking, is the ball position the same as it is when the ball is on the ground as far as iron shot?
Yeah, if you're playing the ball on the ground or off a tee, I would not change the ball position. I would keep it exactly the same.
He's asking for
drill for hand path through impact. So your hand path, if it's moving, because I think your question was, what is it supposed to do going too far down and out? If your hand path is working too far down and out and forward, you would have problems with your angle of attack being too steep and your path being too far inside out. Probably have problems getting the ball up in the air and potentially hit pushes and hooks. So if that's the case, if your hands go too far down and out, remember the stock, if you don't know what to do, the best guess would be to do the opposite of your problem and exaggerate it, right? If you don't know what to do, but you've identified your problem, probably the best place to start is do the opposite of it and do it more than you think. So if the problem is too far down and out, you should feel like your hands from here start to rip up and left from about here, start to rip your hands up and to the left. The more you turn your body, the easier that is to do. The less you turn your body, the more your hands want to work down the line. I'll say that again. The more you turn your body, the easier it is for your hands to work left. The less you turn your body and go more lateral, the more your arms and hands want to work down the line.
Mark would like you to show him what the trail does when starting the downswing. Do you roll it? And here's the UK.
Yeah, Mark, what does the trail foot do during the downswing? We did a video on how the right leg works during the downswing. If you want to check that out, be a little bit more in detail, and how to push off the right side. So from the top, in terms of the leg, I want the leg to reflex. So it should lose some flex from setup to the top. It should reflex some. As it's reflexing, your right foot should be pushing kind of down and clockwise on the ground in this fashion. After you reflex, you're turning and extending, turning and extending. So it's straightening up to the top. You're reflexing and pushing into the ground into about between left arm parallel and shaft parallel. And then from there, you're turning and pushing and extending. So from here, I don't know why I keep thinking there's a light over here. From here to the top, I lose some flex. I'm reflexing and pushing clockwise till I'm here, left arm parallel or here. And then from here, I'm turning my quad, pushing out of the ground and extending my leg into the follow through. That would be like a normal stock pattern. I want your foot turning, pushing this way and pushing off the inside part, I'd rather you bank the foot like this than pop up on the toes. I'd rather you not do this. I'd rather you bank the right foot like that. Some guys like Justin Thomas can do that, but you and me aren't Justin Thomas. So we're going to bank the foot. Yes.
Yet.
Yeah, or ever.
Been hitting outside ball line, parallel to club at address. It's been working great, but sometimes now I start the ball too much to the right. Do I need to rotate more? That's Joey D.
Been hitting balls with a noodle, outside ball line, parallel to club at address. It's been working great. Oh, okay. Yeah. So you're doing like the shallow downswing station, starting the ball too far to the right. Yeah, usually under that phase, if you're doing the one I'm thinking you're saying, which is like the stick here like this, and you're getting the club head to work from the inside, ball starting too far to the right, the first thing to do, is make sure you open up more, get your whole body rotating. The general theme of working with to make your swing better, work with better players, shallow the club first, rotate second. Shallow the club first, rotate second. The higher handicap, it's close the club face, square the club face first, shallow it second, rotate third. So yeah, I would increase body rotation, see if you can get rid of that. If not, you might be overdoing the drill and getting the club head working too far from the inside. So you might just need to neutralize that a little bit as well.
I'm going to skip down to Peter K's question and then go back. Why not just first learn to swing with the right arm only, then add the left arm?
Why not first learn to swing with the right arm only, then just add the left arm? I'll flip that back to you. Why should you learn with the right arm only and then just add the left arm? I'm open for, you tell me why that would work better.
Just see Courtney's other. For a right-handed golfer, should the left arm stay about or on or below the shoulder plane to keep it from becoming too steep just in general?
Yes, Courtney, I would keep the left arm at the top of the swing about on or just above shoulder plane. I don't like it to go below the shoulder plane. I see a lot of contact issues and a lack of speed. I like on the shoulder plane to keep the geometry simple, or a little bit above it. I tend to see more speed from there.
Rich is asking, should the swing feel more rotary or vertical?
Rich, should the swing feel more rotary or vertical? That really depends on you. I have some players who feel very rotary. I have some people who feel really around their body. Some people feel very vertical. It depends on where you're at. If you are normally really around your body, you might need to feel more up to find normal. If you are normally up a lot, you might need to feel around. So feels are always dependent on where you currently are at.
Daniel saying, played a course yesterday and I feel like I don't lose my weight as much on the course as I do with the range. Any tips or feels or drills to work on?
So Daniel, don't feel like you move the weight on the course like the range. Yeah, what we need to know is that a real thing? Are you just feeling that? So A, is that actually true? Are you currently not moving the weight as much on the course or on the range? Or are you just feeling that? So I might have maybe record yourself or have a friend record you on the course to confirm whether you are or are not doing it. And then if you are not doing it on the course much on the range, you have to do go out and drop a couple balls as practice and do it, and make sure you do it as much as you want, whichever side you're trying to do it on, and exaggerate it. Don't worry about how you hit it, but just get your brain comfortable doing that actually in the environment out on the golf course is how I would do that.
Do you feel like your lead arm is externally or internally rotated in the backswing?
So your lead arm, when you go back, first things first, during basically the entire backswing, will have some amount of pronation, which is just if I start normal, palm down towards the ground. I don't like there to be a lot of pronation early. So it'd be like back of your left hand will be kind of working towards the camera. It's a nice little kind of drill feel right there. So there's not a lot of pronation early, and then there's more pronation late. In terms of actual like internal or external rotation, there's not a lot of that going on in terms of my lead arm and lead shoulder up to the top. There's going to be a lot more of that with my trail arm during my backswing. If I go more internal to the top like this, or external would be more kind of more classic look here like this. During the follow through, then when I come through here like this, there'll be a whole bunch of external rotation of my lead arm in the follow through as I replane the club up to the top, compared to if you have a chicken wing, that would be internal rotation of your lead arm. So not a lot of lead arm internal external rotation of the trail shoulder during the backswing. Yeah, Pookie, so super speed is going good. I just did today. I was kind of lazy for the past couple of days about doing it. We actually just did a video today with one of my buddies who's a long drive guy, Scott Calamar, that'll be coming out within probably the next like 2 weeks on how to hit your driver farther. And we did a piece on the super speed. I genuinely really like the super speed. I did it when it first came out and did some trials with people. and it really worked. And I talked to Scott more today, and he used it a lot, and he's a long drive dude. He really likes it. So it's been good across the board. I only have positive things to say about it. We just did I think we'll put the link, do the link in the, I'll put the link in the description after this video goes up, or you can just search it online. I like the super speed, but you got to work it. Like you have to be consistent with that to see the results. So if you're going to be consistent, then I would pay it, because you will see more speed and hit it farther. But if you're not going to be willing to do it a couple times a week for, a couple months at a time, then it's not worth it. Yeah. Only takes me like 10 minutes 3 times a week.
What you suggest my issue is when my shot takes off down my target line but falls left of target.
So what's the issue? If the ball goes straight and then falls left, ultimately that's dumbed down to a face to path issue. So if I'm hitting the ball straight towards a target and then it falls just left, probably my club face is fairly square to the target when it hits, and my club path is just a little bit right. So on a TrackMan, I'd probably read club face 0, club path 3 to the right, or something along those lines. And the ball would start fairly straight and then curve left. So you have to check face to path relationship. One could just be aim a little farther right and play it. 2 could be, you kind of have to make a decision. Do you want to keep the ball starting straight and just take the curve off? You could do that. Or you can keep the curve and just get it started a little farther to the right. That could be adjusting your ball position slightly. That could be changing your setup alignment, a lot of different things, swing direction. So decide, do you want to change the start line, or do you want to take the curve off and then go from there?
Golf BMW just has a statement.
Yes.
Says, this guy is awesome. What's up, Eric? It's Jimmy from Cali. Took an online lesson with him. Definitely recommend him to all. So
thanks, dude. Jim, I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Matthew's saying, what are your views on the Eureka technique?
I don't know what that is. I've seen some people posting that in comments, and I thought that was like a spammy thing. So if that is actually a real thing, I don't know. I've never seen it. So I'll check that out if a real thing.
I struggle with keeping my left arm straight on the takeaway.
Yeah.
If I force it straight, I find my shoulder gets tight and it doesn't feel like a free swing anymore.
Yeah, it's not turning enough. You're not turning your body enough. So the question was I think they can hear you with the volume. Okay. So I don't know, but I'm going to repeat it anyway. So the question was I don't know how you would know. During the backswing, keeping the left arm straight, it's hard to do. It usually bends. When you do, your shoulders tight. The only reason that would happen is if you don't turn your body enough. If I'm making a backswing and I go here like this and I don't turn my body, that's tension on my shoulder. If I do the same thing and I turn as I go, that's easy. I can keep going. See what I'm saying there? If I don't turn, I get stuck here and that hurts. Same thing from here. If I don't turn, I can't really keep my arm straight. I got to bend it. If I turn my body back, I can keep that going forever. So you for sure are not turning enough.
When working for a swing change, when can something be marked as done and time to move on?
When working through a swing, that's a really good question. Who asked that?
David Green.
David Green. What if it's Mr. David Green from Cogorno Golf? But it is. When working through a swing change, when can something be marked as done and time to move on? I would say when you're watching your swing or giving yourself the feedback that you're giving, and it's consistently doing the motion correctly without you having to think about it or exaggerate. It's a pretty concise answer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Need some more questions, people. Talk.
Yeah, if you guys have more questions. No, in terms of swing change, there's some things that you're going to have to constantly be on or monitor. But when it's done and ready to move on to the next piece is when you can do it relatively subconsciously, when it's not such a conscious thought, or at least you don't have to exaggerate it anymore. Then that would be done. Ultimately, it should be, you only have to think about it, and it would be actually done.
That's how David Green goes, not done.
Not done, yeah. Yeah, and in terms of swing changes, because we talk about it a lot, and I put like timetables on a lot of you guys doing stuff. The reality is some things you got to have as maintenance, forever, and you're just doing them as maintenance and checkpoints when you go along. But it's just the same as like eating. You never stop eating good. You never stop working out. There's just little things you have to do forever.
This is a good question too. Brian says we're taught to rotate the golf swing, but didn't mow more than slide through the golf swing.
So taught to rotate but didn't mow normal side. Yeah. Are there some players who slide more and hit the ball really well? Absolutely. In general, if I look at good golfers and you look at good golfers and you pull up the top, whatever you want to do, 100 ball strikers statistically on the PGA Tour, and look at how open their pelvis and rib cage and upper body are, compared to golfers at lower skill levels, one of the very few things you will see in common amongst those players is that their body is more rotated. That just is what it is, right? We have those measured things. But I agree with you. Are there some people who don't rotate as much and hit it well? Absolutely. Are there some players who slide more and hit it really good? Absolutely. Would I recommend that as a baseline model? Absolutely not. But if they're doing that and they're good, I wouldn't change it either. So yeah, if you look at good players, they rotate more. That is what it is, right? And there's a lot of benefits from rotation, but you can play good golf. We just did a video on, it's going to come out about best swing for senior golfers, where I kind of put a model together where you don't rotate as much and still play. But if you can rotate, you should rotate, right? Like if you can make more money, you should make more money.
That's true. Jim's saying, hey, Eric, where's the shaft when they start to push off and extend in the follow through?
Jim, where's the shaft when you start to push off and extend in the follow through? Somewhere between. So the real answer would be like ideally, probably not until it's pretty close to parallel to the ground. So when the club is parallel to the ground, the hands are about even with the right leg. That's when you're really going to push off and extend. I have some guys who do it from the top who start to extend more around here. When the left arm's about 45 degrees, they start to push up. You probably don't want to start pushing right from the top because your left hip will get too high and extend. So you probably want to start to turn and shift a little, turn and shift, turn and shift, turn and shift, push up, push up, push up. Now that's reality for different people. Some people might feel like they're pushing off the right foot right from the start, and that works for them. Some people will feel it later, but I'd prefer it to happen a little bit later than earlier so you don't get as much tilting going on.
Danny has a statement here. Danny's going to have to elaborate. Danny
Yeah.
Anderson says, sometimes I have mishits.
Danny, sometimes you have mishits. Welcome to the group, my friend, because your boy has a lot of mishits as well. That's part of the game. The deal would be to manage those mishits and play golf either way. That's a key point too here. Like no one in this of the people that are here and that's ever been on this or anyone I coach ever for the rest of my life will be able to play golf without mishits. In fact, it's probably going to be majority of slight mishits. Sometimes I go play and I don't miss hit any shots. That is rare. Usually I'm managing misses and I have some good, some bad. So the better the golfer, the better they can manage their misses. That's a good key point.
As George, been struggling with trying to keep myself from going past parallel atop of backswing. From face on, my arms/elbows collapse and hands get close to my head. Appreciate any suggestion. Yeah,
so George is having a hard time at the top, going too far and things are collapsing. A couple of things I would say is, number one, make sure first that you have enough body turn to support your backswing. A lot of times I see people don't turn their body enough, and so they bend their arms in order to make what appears to be a full swing, and it ends up going too far. We did a video on 3 reasons why your backswing is too long and how to fix them. 3 reasons why your backswing is too long, how to fix them. I would watch that video to go in more detail, but I would make sure you have more turn. You can do the drill we just did on our 2 drills to stay connected. Put the alignment right underneath your right armpit. Huge body turn. When the stick hits your left arm, that's when you know you're done and you come back down. You can use things like the torque striker between the just underneath the elbows and make sure you make a full big body turn and keep some width to the top. And then if in terms of arms bending too much, that would be where I would start. But watch that video. That'll explain that in more detail.
Josh is asking, when should I feel the need to release the club with the driver?
When should you feel the need to release the club? It really depends. It depends. I have to see that to answer that. And because that's another one, like a specific feel question for you. It's hard without me seeing it. That depends. The strong it depends on your literally something as simple as your grip. If your grip's super strong, you should probably feel like you never really release the club. If your grip is more weak, you should probably feel like you're bowing and supinating really early during the downswing. So it really depends on where you're at. Is your ball flight going too far to the right? Then maybe you need to release it earlier. Is your ball flight going too far to the left? Maybe you need to release it later. I'd really have to see your swing for that one.
Paul's asking.
Paulie V.
Yeah.
Did he add Paul V on there? Oh, okay. So normal golf swing, what point do I feel like it's on the front foot? I would say if you start 50-50, there's going to be a pretty good pressure shift to the right foot up to the top. Pressure shifting, maybe 60, 70, 80% in the right foot, but my body mass is still staying pretty centered, but I'm shifting weight to my right foot. I'm immediately starting to shift back to the left. By the time I get back down to left arm parallel and down to here, I'm more on my left than my right. By the time I'm at impact, I'm much more on my left. Not until I get to about my full finish do I feel like or see players fully on their left side. So you're gradually working to the left throughout the swing as you're rotating, right? It's not a shift. It's not a turn. It's a shift and a turn, right? I'm throwing a ball. It's not a shift throw. It's a shift and a turn, right? I'm swinging the baseball, a shift and a turn. So it's the same thing with that. It's a shift and a turn gradually to the left, 100% on your foot, not to the end of the swing.
Only says you get a great feeling for correct hip rotation when swinging with the right arm only.
Yeah, that's cool, Peter. I mean, right arm only, that works, you want to do that, that's cool. I've never used it. I've had a lot of success. I like right arm only with chip shots to learn how to use the bounce. I use it a lot for that, but I've never used it. But maybe I'll play around with it. Something I can add to the arsenal. That's cool.
Danny says, sorry, that's not the question I was going to ask about mishit. I was going to ask mishit on the toe sometimes.
So Danny, mishit on the toe. We did a video called the most important swing plane in golf, I think, where you would put a shaft like this in front of you. Basically, on the angle you would hit, you could put it here or here and learn how to stand underneath it. Basically, the point is, most people that I work with that struggle with toe hits, the vertical swing point, where the angle the shaft is on at impact is too vertical. And the more I make my shaft go vertical, the more the club comes in on swing and through impact. We have several videos, if you watch over the past like month or 2 or 3, on body bend and how your body works and fixing early extension. But those would be the pieces I would look at. Always with toe shots, I'm looking at vertical swing plane, can bring it on a low. Feel lighter when you start down, as if it's falling behind you, compared to feeling heavier. 100. You shouldn't feel heavy when you do that. Now, having said that, during the swing, backswing and downswing, the more vertical you get the club, the lighter it should feel. The more horizontal you get it, the heavier it should feel. So the center of mass is directly above my hands. That's very light. This is heavier. So from that perspective, not so much. But to your point of the initial part of the downswing, absolutely okay in the beginning to have a sensation like the club head is falling behind you and is pretty light with some light grip pressure is perfectly cool.
Ken says left arm tends to fold in at impact and right arm overtakes. There is no extension with both arms after impact. Suggestions.
Ken, left arm bends, right arm overtakes, there's no extension. When I see that, almost always there's 2 potential root causes that would cause that. Number 1 is an open club face. 80% of the time, I would say that I see that pattern, left arm bending, right arm overtaking. Your brain is doing that as a way to square the club face. So I would say check that your club face is not too open. That could be from grip, form, rotation, wrist conditions, etc. Number 2 would be not enough rotation. During my downswing, if I don't rotate at all, my body stops. I have to go somewhere with the speed of the club, and I can only go so far in my follow through physically, right? If I don't turn my chest or my body at all, I can only go to about here with my arms straight, and then I have to bend to keep going. So almost always when I see that, either your club face is too open or you don't rotate enough. You need to figure out which one of those 2 it is, figure out where you need to fix that, and then do the drills there to fix that.
G-Jack says, used to struggle with inside, up, and across, slowly getting better. Good drill for this.
Inside, up, and across, G-Jack. Used to struggle with inside, up, across. Good drill to get away from that. A lot of things to do. One, right, would be if I were to put a little plane line down on the ground for my stick there, and I put a stick on the side of the club, and I don't want to go inside, up, and across. So I'm assuming inside you're meaning here, here, and here. I would do some drills with an actual ball and hit some where you're getting this parallel to the stick, getting this pretty vertical here, and then at the top feeling like it's much more laid off. So keeping this stick on the club parallel to the stick on the ground and then pointing at the stick on the ground. For you, if you're inside, up, and across, you're going to need to feel more outside and then really laid off. So you feel more outside early and then really laid off at the top would be your sensations. You could do it with a stick like that. And going back to the last guy who brought up the arm and the right arm taking over, and I say those root causes, I say that because I could give you a drill like putting the ball between your arms and doing drills like that, and it's not going to work for you permanently if you don't rotate enough or if you have a club face issue. That's why I stress that for it to actually work, or else that will just band-aid it. So in situations like that, I don't want to give you a drill that I don't think will work. That backswing drill I gave a drill for that. I didn't talk about root causes because I think you could fix it with that. So if I give you root causes and don't actually answer your question, it's because I think there's something going on earlier that you would need to fix, or else that won't be effective.
John G says, trying to stop chunking short chips. Help, please.
Trying to stop chunking short chips. So yeah, another one where, man, it'd be nice if I could see you chip. A couple things to look out for would be make sure your ball position is neutral. not too far back. I would make sure then, again, so it's a setup, avoid ball back, hands way forward, get the ball more neutral, shaft more neutral. I would say from this side, from chipping, you really want to make sure your backswing plane is on plane or slightly outside. You want to avoid a closed club face. So backswing plane on, hands or slightly outside with a club face a little bit more open will allow you to use the bounce a little bit better. So that would be a big thing I see for people who hit fat chip shots is they get too low and inside and or their club face is too closed and they hit too far behind the ball because of it. So backswing plane more up and outside with the face more open will allow you to use the bounce. And then from face on, you want to avoid ball back hands forward and you want to avoid too much tilt. So the more you tilt like this, the more you're going to hit behind it. You want to have your shoulders more level, maybe even this way a little, and have your setup a little bit more steep might help that as well. I could fix that in like literally like 5 seconds if I saw you in person, but I have to see what that looks like. Yeah, seriously.
Eldred is going to have to give us more information. Hey,
Yeah.
Eric, I think my irons like that before, but still have problems with my driver. Any suggestions?
Eldred, so hitting your irons good. Any suggestions with your driver? This falls into this again, and I'm preaching it because I believe it. I need to see what you're doing with your driver to be able to help you. Some of
They
these.
need to see what they're doing.
Yeah, I need to see what you're doing, and you need to see what you're doing. So even if you see what you're doing and you have the videos, you don't know for sure if the videos apply to you or not. That's again why we did. And I'm not trying to sell this to you guys. It's going to help you guys. We did CogornoGolf.com and have the Facebook group so you can post your swings in there. We're doing a free 7-day trial. Like it costs nothing to sign up. If you don't like it, you could peace out. If you do like it, you could hang, and you could put your swings in the video so I could actually see, or put your swings in the Facebook group so I can actually see the video and give you step by step what to do and show you over time. It's $39 a month once you're actually in there to do it. That is what it is. If you guys actually are serious about getting better to me, I would at least try that for a little bit. Let me see your swing, and I can help a lot better than this, but I really have to see that one.
Can you still see the comments there? Because
I
Charlie's
can, yeah.
next question is pretty involved, and I think you need to read it.
Charlie, hi. Our question, as it relates to flaring the right foot, front foot, do you align to your heels or the toe line with the flare? Both feet align on toes is actually 1 to 2 inches closed if you unflare. I hope that makes sense. Flare and then rotate the flare back to perpendiculars if my question doesn't make sense. Yeah, I'm not sure what you're asking there. What I would say is a stock model. I think I understand what you're saying in terms of if you measure on heel line, you measure on the heel line, the aim compared to the toe line, and you flare or don't flare, changes your aiming points. What I like to see for most stock players is the trail foot's pretty straight, and then the front foot will have some degree of flare, somewhere between 5 and 40 degrees, depending upon the player, is what I would say would be stock flaring amounts.
David Green, everybody again. Impact
Yeah.
tape showing up face strikes high on the face. Where should a center contact be found, and why would it move high? Asking for a friend.
Yeah, David, so contact on the face with the irons really depends on the surface you're playing on. When you're outside on the fairway, you should be in the middle or maybe even slightly lower on the face. If you're high on the face, that could be your club head hitting the ground too soon. Sometimes when you're hitting off mats, okay, sometimes the ball actually can elevate on the mat a little bit as you're hitting it, and it pops up as you're kind of hitting ball and ground at the same time, and it pops up. And I've seen that a lot on a mat. If you're getting that outside on the grass, it'd be a different ball game. But I would say usually that's a mat problem, a surface condition problem.
Hey, questions about my shoulders at address.
Yep.
Do I keep them released or drooped, or do they stay back as in chest out, blades in? More pinched, I can feel both, but released feels correct.
Read that one more again.
Do I keep
Hey, Eric, questions about my shoulders.
at address?
Do I keep them released or drooped? I don't know what that means. Or do they stay back as in chest out, blades out, like this or this? Assuming is what it means.
That's what I understand. That
More
to mean.
pinched. I can feel both. So at your address position, I don't want you to have your shoulder blades. I think this is retracted and this is protracted. I don't want your shoulder blades all the way back like this, and I don't want them fully forward. They should be in between. Your shoulders should be about what you walk around at. I'm not fully back like I'm like ready to take over the gym, and I'm not like 90. I'm like in between those two. So that's what I would say. I would say they should be relaxed like you would normally walk around, not fully back and not fully forward. You'd be like, not fully back, but you'd be about normal.
Okay, so part 2, Mr. Ready to Go Gym. Do you suck
Yeah.
in your gut and activate your core throughout the swing?
Do I suck in my gut and activate my core? Absolutely not. I don't suck in my gut. I don't have a gut. That's right. Got an 8-pack. I'm perfectly cool with you feeling your abs in your core as you're swinging through. It's not something I personally feel. It's not something I really talk about a lot. Not something I do a lot with people. I would say I would have that as a feel more often if I'm trying to get someone to turn on either side. Would be fine. Don't have to.
Samuel wants to know, in chipping, do you recommend one club for nearly all chips, changing loft with setup, or changing clubs when you want to change lofts?
So chipping, one club, multiple clubs. I would say the better player you are, so the better your scores are, the more freedom you have to make your own choice with that. So meaning like I have some players who I've worked with or players on tour who use like one club, 56, 60 from everywhere, and they're phenomenal because their skill is good enough and they have enough time to practice it. What I would say usually is I'd like you to at least have a couple different clubs. What I would teach a stock person, someone comes in chipping, is I would teach them how to hit a stock shot with a stock shot with a 56 or 60 degree wedge, baseline chip shot. I would teach them how to hit that wedge low and high on command so you have them, but I would also at least do a 9-iron bump and run and a 7-iron bump and run. Someone new comes into me and shoots anything above 80 on a regular basis, I will teach them a 56 degree sand wedge, a 9-iron bump and run, a 7-iron bump and run. You're using a 56 sand wedge, right? At least 80% of the time, but bump and run when you need it. And you should be able to chip, you should be able to do low and high. So to me, if you have enough time and skill, do all of them. If not, I would probably get good with one club with 1 or 2 bump and runs.
Liam is suddenly started topping the ball from nowhere, taking a divot a couple inches in front of the ball. Any ideas? I haven't done this in years.
Liam, topping the ball, divot in front. Any ideas? Yeah, that's a tough one without me seeing again. Why would that potentially happen? You know, especially if you haven't done it before, could be a couple different things. Potentially too far open too soon, potentially balls too far back, potentially too much lateral motion, potentially steep down. So you're probably not too shallow. If you're taking it in front, you're probably too steep like this. So maybe doing something to shallow out your downswing. We did a video on 3 ways to shallow out your downswing where we did a couple sticks behind you and had a head cover in front. You know, something you might be able to do is take a head cover or something along these lines, put it in front of you, maybe about a grip length, not width, and learn, maybe 2 grips, it's a little aggressive, and learn to hit the ball and pick the ball off the ground and have the club head work over it this way. So feeling like the club's coming more low into the ball here, hitting the ball and working more up. If you're taking a divot too far in front, you're in all likelihood too steep during your downswing. Steve, yes, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Mark, my proud of that. Yeah, thanks, Mark and Steve. I appreciate that. You guys have any other questions? Fire away. Yeah. Yeah, we just got done shooting 2 videos today. We did the how to hit your driver farther. Went over kind of 4 main things I want to do with that. I have my buddy Scott Calamar in here, the long drive guy hitting the ball freaking 400 yards. I'm stupid. Guy's club head speed's like 145 miles an hour. So he was talking a lot to me about what he does, a little preview of going up during the backswing. We talk about all the time. If you want to hit your driver farther, you want to avoid going off the ball with everybody and chest down. You can't get your lead arm high enough. If I just get too extended, look how much higher my arm is. Look at me here, chest down. This is literally all I got. And if I just extend, I have so much more freedom with my lead arm. So some backswing adjustments that he was making in downswing to create more speed. We did that. And then we did the senior golf pattern too. I see Glenn on there. Should I swing at 85% of full effort with irons? Yeah, most good players typically, you know, the old cliche of swinging 80% as their stock speed. I find that fairly true. It's funny when I'm inside here swinging, I notice I'm going at it like really way faster than I would when I go outside. I was just thinking about that yesterday. When I'm out on the course, I'm not ever swinging like 100% speed. Maybe on a par 5 that's wide open off the tee, but I would say most of the time you're at like an 80% effort. Effort's cool. Yeah, Mike Jones. Yeah.
Trying to remember the tips.
Yeah, Mike, it's really individual, man. So how long would it take for this stuff to sink in and get it? I mean, I've been golfing for 15 years. Some people that have been golfing for a long time, even way longer than that. It's just a constant pursuit of it, man. I think it depends on where you're at with your game, how often you practice, and how deliberate you practice. When you go and do your practice, it's about reps and time, but it's about quality of reps. So just to me, like getting in the gym and lifting, the quality of the time is more important than just the total time. So you can expedite how long it takes you to do it if you're really smart with your practice, which to me, smart with your practice means a couple of things. Number one, give yourself enough feedback on every swing in the beginning so you know if you're doing exactly what you're trying to do. Don't waste time guessing and checking or going to say, ball flight tells you everything. No, the ball flight does not tell you everything. You should be giving yourself feedback constantly on the mechanics. When I do it, if I'm practicing, I will record my first 3 to 5 swings no matter what, even if I'm hitting it really good, just to ensure that I'm doing what I'm trying to do. Why would you not do that? Well, that's too technical. No, that's like smart. I'm just swore there, because why would I go and do things if I'm not sure what I'm doing? I wasted a ton of time practicing on the range, doing swing stuff with no feedback. And I was just like, oh, if I'm hitting it good, I'm going to keep doing this. I'm hitting it bad, I'm going to keep doing this. And the reality is I was swinging about the same day to day. So give yourself enough feedback would be good. Give yourself enough time. Understand that practice is more about frequency than duration. You got to hit it more frequently. 30 to 50 balls a day or 30 swings a day would be much better than 2 hours for just 1 day per week. See some things wrong in there.
Yeah, and Phil was asking about performance golf zone. I don't know if
Yeah.
you want to go over about your performance golf zone.
Yeah, Performance Golf Zone, our buddy runs it, and we do some products, obviously, and things with that. We don't have really much in the members area, and we're not involved with that, but we do some products and training videos through them. They do a phenomenal job of getting the products out and getting enough people to see it. So we thought it'd be beneficial if we hop in and we do some stuff with them and get some products out.
Perry's saying my launch angle with the irons is too high. How can I reduce the launch angle?
If your launch angle is too high, we're really looking at 2 main factors. 1 is angle of attack, and 2 is dynamic loft. So if you hit the ball too high, typically the angle of attack is too shallow, and or you have too much dynamic loft at impact. You need to figure out which one of those 2 it is and fix it. You could have either one of those for a wide variety of things that you could have those for. Things I would check if I wanted to hit it lower, right, would be I'd probably do both of them. I would make sure my angle of attack was pretty solid. You can do something like the head cover again and have this a little bit behind you, grip or so, and feel as though the club head is hitting more down on the ball and you're coming in at a little bit of a steeper angle would be part number 1. And then I would make sure that I have a lower my dynamic loft. So that would be, is my shaft far enough forward? Do I have good wrist conditions here? And maybe exaggerate hitting a bunch of lower punch shots. To hit a lower punch shot again, you would increase the angle of attack. You would lower the dynamic loft. And I would do the things that I would do. Can you hit a punch shot underneath a tree with like a 7-iron? What do you do in terms of your mechanics to do that? Now, exaggerate that more into your full swing, but angle of attack and dynamic loft would be the 2 pieces that you would look for there.
Mark's saying, if I'm feeling the weight of the club head with a little layoff at the top of the backswing,
Yep.
rotating while feeling that head weight prevents pulls and pushes. Makes sense?
That makes sense. Yeah, it's cool. We're really fine with that.
Santa,
What's up,
how do you
buddy?
focus on not swaying forward on the downswing, especially with the driver?
How do you focus on not swaying forward during the downswing, especially with the driver? Well, there's a ton of different rotation drills. If you go back and watch, we have a video on, I believe it's called How to Eliminate the Slide, How to Eliminate Sway in Your Golf Swing. So if you have too much lateral towards the target with your driver during the downswing, there's so many different potential feels. In fact, we have so many videos out on this topic. We have left side feels, we have right side feels, we have lower body feels, upper body feels. We have all the feels that you can do. So there's a ton of different things. In terms of drill, what I might start with is putting an object outside your left leg or lead hip. And during the downswing, making sure you don't run into it. We just literally did a video, I think this past week, called hip sway versus hips, or hip slide versus hip rotation in the golf swing. And I put those 2 little foam rollers outside as a visual. You can do something like that, a chair outside your lead hip, put it about a fist width outside of your lead hip. And so there's an object here during the downswing. Don't run into that and learn how to turn more from there. So I would watch those videos. Those will go much more in depth than I can go right now, but I'd probably start with an object outside my lead leg.
Cookie's asking about reading greens, and I think that one, you have a great video.
Yeah.
Shows the reading greens.
Yeah, so reading greens, there's a bunch of different ways to do it. We do have one video, I don't know what the title is, but it's along the lines of reading greens. And Aim point, there's a lot of different things you do depending on how technical you get. There's something called aim point. I don't know if some of you guys are familiar with that or not. That's phenomenal if you want to go down that route. We actually did a clinic at our course this year. You can just use a basic clock system to start with. If you can learn how to find the straight uphill putt on any green, you can determine what direction the ball is going to break, approximately how much from there, if you can learn how to find the straight putt. So if you watch the video, if you search my name in green reading, there'll be a video that'll come up where I go over the clock system. It's fairly easy to learn. Of course, you'd have to know the stimp of the greens, how fast they are, and the slope percentage if you want to get really technical. But if you're just trying to learn general breaks and about how much, you can use a basic clock system to work.
Mike wants to know, what would be the feeling if anybody is dipping his head down in his backswing? Would it be a stand-up?
Yeah, so if you're dipping down during the backswing, there's really only a couple body segments that could lead to dipping down or lowering, right? Think about this logically. If I were to stand up and I were to lower myself, what would do that? Number one, the more my legs bend, the more I go down. So during my backswing, if I bend my legs too much, that would lower me. If I flex forward, that would also lower my head, or if I left side bend. So there's really three things during your backswing that could lower you too much: legs flexing too much, upper body bending too far forward, or too much left side bend. You could do either one of them. I'd have to see which one were the right and the left. You can feel like instead of being bent forward, you actually extend up and back. And instead of having your left shoulder down, you can feel like you turn a little bit more flat and get a little bit taller as you go back to find normal.
We have a family member here because we got Denise Walton.
Yes. Yes.
She wants advice on putting, please. What about?
See Jeremy Walton in there too.
She's stole his identity.
Oh, okay.
Could I have some advice on putting, please? What amount of tension should I be holding the club with? What amount of tension is in the shoulders and elbows?
Yeah, Denise, putting tension in the arms, shoulders, and elbows with putting. Let me give you a very simple stock answer, which is probably, I don't mind if your hands are a little tighter, what I say all the time, but I need your arms and shoulders to be fairly loose. The same way as ever going to throw a ball or hit a baseball or anything like that. I'm okay with the grip pressure being a little tighter, but the arms and shoulders should be fairly loose. I would err on a little bit more loose than tight for speed control. If I want to control speed of something, I wouldn't grip it real tight. That's hard to control. I would be looser with it and allow my eye-hand coordination to work. So I would give you that as a stock general answer.
John's asking the question.
Yeah.
Just shake my head. Are there any changes to setup or swing you suggest to someone with a larger chest and muscular build?
John, so are there any changes to a golf swing setup or backswing if you have a big chest or larger build? As you can see, I fall into that category. No, just kidding. If you have a wider or broader chest and shoulders, I probably wouldn't adjust too much with the setup. Really, the issue is that the bigger your chest is, the less you can get your arm across your chest, right? The bigger the pec muscle, the less you can get your arm across your chest, which would mean from this side, the harder it is to get deeper with your hand path. So usually if you're a little thicker there like that, I would be a little bit more okay with your arms being more in front of your body instead of them being as deep. I'd be more okay with them being here and learning how to play from that spot. I would probably not have the shaft super vertical. I'd have the shaft a little bit more laid down so I could just play from this. So I'd say hands and arms more in front, shaft a little bit more laid down, and then just go back down from that spot.
Brian's saying, I'm getting to a point where my down the line looks passable. Then I got to face on view and I'm alarmed at how ugly the setup looks. Any tips for setup? Hand position, de-lofted or not, etc.
Yeah, Brian, so down the line looks good face on. Some setup pieces from face on that I look at for stock models. If I'm hitting, let's say, like an 8-iron, I would want the ankles to be about even with the shoulders. I like the right foot pretty square, front foot slightly flared. I like the ball position to be up in line with about between the sternum location and shirt logo, or kind of off the left eye, left ear would be stock. Hands should be inside of left thigh. Grip should be neutral like this. This would be a stock kind of face on. Tilt wise, with a sand wedge, almost no tilt, 8-iron, maybe 2, 3, 4 degrees, a little bit more as the irons get longer, and then about 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 with the driver. Those would be the stock things I'd look for face on.
Which one to know if you're ready for the Greenbrier this summer?
Which I'm ready for the Greenbrier. You want to get us out and play or do some videos, let us know. Yeah, we're there, baby.
Oh, Roger's going to be very happy in a couple of weeks. What might be a good drill for a 70-year-old to increase flexibility and rotation?
Yeah, Roger. So good drill for 7-year-old to increase flexibility and rotation. We just did a video today on the best swing for senior golfers that I would watch. It'll probably be out in like a week or two. So look out for that one. What I would say is as you get older and you lose flexibility and can't rotate as much, I wouldn't worry as much about the rotation during the downswing because we might not get as much as we want. So if we're not going to get that, what we want to make sure is you get enough turn going back and you use your body extension in the follow through for more distance. So video will come out and answer that in about a week or so.
Samuel said your big chest answer sounds like John Rahm.
John Rahm would be a beautiful example of someone who eats a little too much pasta and has a big chest like me and can't get the club. And in all seriousness, it has a lot to do with how much you can't get your left arm out. So I would go John Rahm with the arms in front. In fact, that's actually a perfect example. Absolutely.
I don't understand why pros' head is behind the ball when they're releasing the club. They are looking down.
I don't understand why the pros don't show behind the ball when they're releasing the club. They're looking down. What don't you understand about it? Give me a question around that, and I will. So most guys, if you draw the line around the head, they stay pretty much in the circle. They stay pretty much in or go just kind of down and forward with the irons and kind of stay there. With the driver, they'll stay in the circle, kind of go down a little bit, and then usually back up and out of it to hit more up on the ball and gain some distance like that. But
it's an extension thing like Justin Thomas.
Yeah, what's your question? What don't you understand about that? And then I can explain that more.
Peter K is saying Alaska does not recommend shallowing. Why do you?
Alaska does not recommend shallowing. Why do I? I recommend shallowing simply put because of the golfers that I've studied mechanically for the past decade, 99% of good players shallow the club during the downswing relative to their backswing plane. Non-debatable. That is what it is. So what we recommend you do, that's cool. If other people want to tip the shaft and other stuff and that works, I have no problem with that. I just base it on what I've seen in 3D measurement, what I've seen in video, what I've done in person. Good players shallow the shaft. Now, do I think a lot of good players shallow the shaft like this? Way a lot? No. They go back and come down on a very slightly shallower plane. That's not really debatable. But what you feel to do, that's cool. You know, if people do it in different ways, that's fine. Cool. You guys have any more questions? I think we have, like 2 minutes left. You guys want to throw a couple more questions in, then we'll I'll practice. And backswing, a little more left side bend, a little bit more rotation. Let's see. Oh, a little fat. Any more questions, guys? Pop them in. Should you shallow the shaft in a less than 100-yard pitch shot? You should shallow the shaft less and less and less and less and less the shorter the clubs get. So especially if I'm, did he give a distance instead of 100? Less than 100, yeah. So when you go, especially when you get inside like 60 and 50 yards, you can't shallow it as much for a couple of reasons. One is you don't have enough time to turn your body enough. The more and more and more you shallow the club during the downswing, the more the club head is behind you, okay? The club head gets behind you. What do you have to do to get the club head from back here to the ball? You have to turn a lot. Okay, so anyone who shallows a lot and is any good turns a lot. Now, if I'm hitting a 50-yard pitch shot and I only swing this far, I don't have enough time to turn that much. So I can't get away with that. If I shallow it too much with chipping and pitching and wedge shots, you're going to get fats and fins. So I would recommend with the wedge is keeping the club head a little bit more out in front of you on plane and kind of riding back down that plane line. The contact and consistency of those shots would be a lot greater than with a driver or longer clubs, for example, when you have a lot more time to rotate. Yeah, we'll do one more. What time is that? Yeah.
Out here. Should I have more lag with short irons and less with long irons?
Should you have more lag with short irons and less with long irons? It should be about the same. It might appear less because the ball position shifts. So if I have the ball position, let's say my goal is to get the hand kind of over the left leg or shoe at impact. If the ball's more back, that looks like more shaft lean and lag. If the ball's more forward, that looks like less shaft lean and lag. But in reality, my hands are in the same spot relative to where my body's at. So no, it really shouldn't change a ton. Technically, there'll be a little bit more with the shorter irons and the loft will come down a little bit. I'm gonna see if I can rapid fire a couple of these. I can see him on here. Great session, earned your, yeah, thanks, David, appreciate that. Jim, hit my driver, great. Iron stink, no compression. Should I be trying to get more aggressive with a lighter or a move? You need to figure out why I know, Jim, if you need to figure out why the compression stinks, it's probably dynamic loft, right? So you need to check dynamic loft. Make sure your club face is square enough so you can flex your lead wrist enough and get enough shaft lean. I need to see your swing and where you're at really to answer that better. I'm going to try and wrap it 1 or 2 more of these, and we're going to wrap it up here. Struggled with lead with the hips recently. My feeling has been to hold back shoulders, which finally makes me lead with the hips make sense. Yes. If you're someone who normally gets too open with your upper body too early, how do you get your hips starting enough, or getting it enough disconnection between the two? You can't. So the more you get your upper body open, you're going to both be open. If you want to get more separation, you can feel like your hips open. I don't like you to keep your upper body closed, but if you're just saying get a little bit of a head start and don't get wildly over your upper body, I'm perfectly okay with that. Okay, we're at about an hour here. Let's see if I can just one more. Drill for opening the hips in the downswing. If you watch all of our previous rotation videos, we also have a rotation masterclass coming out March 18th. We have a bunch of those in there. Shaft flex determined more by tempo or loading or swing speed, both swing speed and definitely people don't understand enough of how you load the shaft in transition. It's a lot to do with the flex of the shaft. Think about buying thicker grips since the club sometimes twists in my hands. That's cool, trial and error. Danny Anderson, thanks for your time. Yeah, my pleasure, man. Absolutely. David, any advice for knee pain? I would see a doctor. It's 11 p.m. here and practicing your putting advice, man. It's working. Great. Awesome. Good, good, good. Steve, are PXGs overrated or have you? Yeah, I have a buddy who has PXGs, doesn't like them at all. Send them back. No, I think PXGs are fine. I would just say when you get clubs, go get fit. Make sure the club head is important, but the shaft, the weighting, the way they tip the shaft. There's so many different variables. If you get with a good club fitter, that can help a lot. So sorry to rapid fire some of those end ones, but we got to close up here because we're getting the boot from Eamon. So hopefully you guys enjoy this. We'll be back next Monday. Have some cool videos coming out. Like I said, we are going to drop that rotation masterclass on March 18th. For those of you guys that want to rotate all sequentially in one place, we're going to do a group around that as well, so a training group around that. We're still doing the 7-day free trial for CogornoGolf.com if you guys want to get more back, so I can see your swing, so I can help you more. Hop on there and try that out. We'll see you guys next week.